Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. One of my earliest text reviews that got made into a video was The New Guardians #2. The New Guardians were a spin-off of a DC event called Millennium. Long story short, it involved the idea of a group of humans who were selected to be the next stage of evolution for our happy little species, and their goal was to pass on their superior genetic material to future generations. Which one would think means they should be having lots and lots of sex, but as far as I know, there's never an orgy issue. Such a task was kind of impeded by half the team either being unwilling or unable to do so because of the nature of who they were. One was the Floronic Man, taking a break from being a supervillain, and would later try to make everybody on Earth high on pot. Check out my 3 Batman Shadow of the Bat reviews for the details there. AKA a plant. Another was a cyborg named Ram, and the third, a gay man named Extraño, meaning the whole sex to procreate thing was not really gonna happen. Still, he could be a sperm donor, so that's a thing, I guess. The other members included Harbinger. Yes, the Harbinger from Crisis on Infinite Earths. I guess DC just couldn't figure out what the hell to do with her after that book. Jet, a Jamaican woman who could control electromagnetic waves. And Gloss, a Chinese woman who had various elemental powers. There was a 7th member who we'll be seeing more of in this issue, but she's barely been a presence in the previous 2. But of course, the most important contribution that New Guardians ever made to this show was exposing the world to the greatest supervillain ever, Snowflame! In New Guardians #2, the team was dispatched by the CIA to help deal with a Colombian drug lord named Snowflame. Snowflame gains his powers by snorting cocaine. He just dumps his face into a huge bowl of the stuff and he gains superpowers from it. It is so gloriously stupid and wonderful and WTF. And now he occasionally hangs around my house making public service announcements while claiming I stole his fuzzy slippers. If you're unfamiliar with the previous 2 episodes I looked at the New Guardians, this might seem a little weird for a mainstream DC book, especially just being a spin-off of an event comic. Well, that's because of our old pal editorial mandates rearing their ugly head. Steve Englehart, the writer of both this book and Millennium, had wanted to do a book covering serious social issues at the time. Gay rights, AIDS, drug abuse, etc. DC promised him just that, a book where he could properly explore these issues, and they chickened out at the last second. There's no guarantee that Englehart's planned series would have been that good, but the end result was that the book's tone ended up being all over the place, with cocaine-powered supervillains, a vampire who spreads AIDS, and pretty much all the goofiness that's present in a book that's taking itself way more seriously than it should be, with ridiculous dialogue and situations coupled with the melodramatic style of 80s comics. It's been a long while since we got to see another issue of this thing, so for the 10th anniversary celebrations, it's only appropriate that we dig into The New Guardians #3.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazons and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
But I would not feel so all alone. Everybody must get stoned.
The cover's okay and rather striking. Our heroes amidst some flaming wreckage while surrounded by dozens, if not hundreds of children aiming guns at them. Although, of course, while it's a frightening and distinct image, from a practical perspective, those kids are probably going to end up taking each other out with friendly fire right along with the New Guardians. We open with a Los Angeles tour bus passing by the motel the New Guardians bought and made their home. More than men, less than gods. Certainly how I would describe teddy bears. Coming up on our left are the hotel bungalows, which now serve as the headquarters for that new superhero group sensation, the New Guardians. And yet it's only rated 2 stars. And we see three of them, Ram, Fluoro, and Gloss, all emerging from the hotel, and good lord, the artwork on Gloss. Bad enough that her outfit is basically just this massive plunging neckline right down to her crotch, but her arms are positively twigs, right along with her very skinny neck. Her hair is trying to rival Starfire's for how ludicrously huge and long it is. Anyway, the tour guide refers to Fluoro as bizarre. Who is that hamburger calling bizarre? Man, after they impeached Mayor McCheese, the only job he could get was as a tour guide. This is the fourth tour bus that's gone past them, and they're starting to get annoyed by it. On board the tour bus, yuck! Is that Fluoro dude gross or what? Forget about him! Check out the see-through walk-in PC! Oh wait, he's just a VIC-20. Never mind. As I said, they're of course annoyed by the constant gawking from the locals. These Southern Californians seem to derive a perverse pleasure from indulging the very worst aspects of human nature. Taking pictures of famous people, scum of the earth! This is especially hilarious when the recurring villain whose machinations they're against is a white supremacist from South Africa during apartheid. Can someone tell me how a rational being retains any measure of dignity in this town? I think you just answered your own question there, dude. Fluoro decides to give them some privacy by growing more plants in front of their place to block off the view. Appropriate, don't you think? What goes together better than Hollywood and vines? Truly, your puns demonstrate your superiority to the tourists. So in the previous two issues, the vampire I mentioned bit Jet and scratched Extraño. Despite the fact that HIV is not spread through saliva or friggin' fingernails, the doctors told the heroes that it was possible that they had contracted the virus. In the wake of the whole Millennium thing, Harbinger apparently has some kind of biological link to Jet, so that things that happen to Jet also affect her. So it's entirely possible that she has HIV too, despite, again, it being kind of impossible for them to get it this way. The three have dressed in normal civilian garb to avoid attracting attention, although with Extraño's hair, that's kind of a foregone conclusion that it'll happen, and have gone to an AIDS clinic for potential treatment and counseling. And unfortunately, it's got a whole bunch of protesters outside. I kind of brought this up in the Youngblood number 10 review, but for those of you who may be too young to know about this, after HIV and AIDS were discovered, there was a lot of negativity and misinformation about them. Some just protesting those who had it because it was seen as God's punishment against gay people, some who just didn't understand how it was spread, and just general stupidity along those lines. These days, it's less frequent because a lot more information is available and there are more treatments that can be done, but it was a bad time. Admittedly, though, I might be wrong about this, but I don't think those protests had signs that read, "People with AIDS go home." Yeah, people with AIDS, go back to AIDSylvania! Some of the doctors there know that the three are indeed members of the New Guardians and whisper that one of them is indeed infected based on the latest test, but they keep that info to themselves. Our heroes are met by other doctors. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Dr. Garth and I are glad you decided to come. Wait. Dr. Garth? Run, New Guardians! His treatment for your HIV is to turn you into babies! We cut over to Thomas Kalmaku, former Green Lantern supporting character, and one of the guys who was offered the chance to become one of those superior beings by the Guardians of the Universe, but turned them down. His kids want to watch cartoons, but he's watching the news coverage of the AIDS protest. He thinks about how if he had joined up with the New Guardians, he might have ended up getting infected too, which helps him really show how grateful he is for the decision he made. And that's it. The scene is here to remind us all that he exists. Back to the AIDS clinic, our heroes meet up with three others infected about their own experiences. Two are definitely looking a little more worse for wear, but are definitely surviving. And the third, Ned, is a nutritionist. I was first diagnosed in 1985, but here I am, 3 years later, still giving advice to other patients. First piece of advice, grow a very angular beard. Reduce your protein intake, eat nothing but whole grains, and you'll be amazed how quickly your condition will improve. Admittedly, you'll be spending half your life on the toilet, but still. Harbinger isn't impressed. I spent 2 decades in outer space on just such a macrobiotic diet. A lot of good it did me. Man, no wonder it was so easy to get you to kill the Monitor then. Outer space? Oh, come on, this is the DC universe. You've got to know at least 2 other people who have been to space besides her. We cut over to a warehouse where a group of kids in a gang are meeting up. I know they're in a gang because apparently they all shop at the same place with lavender-colored shirts and jackets, green pants, and brown shoes. They've been recruited by a drug lord from Colombia to kill the new Guardians, and some of them are reluctant to try to take on superheroes. The drug lord soon arrives in person with a station wagon, which, given how he's dressed, seems a bit incongruous, but whatever. He delivers a kilo of cocaine as a down payment to make sure they do the job, with another 2 kilos upon completion. Also inside the car is an arsenal of weapons to help them make sure they get the job done right. Rambo ain't gonna have nothing on us! Our Vietnam War trauma will be way worse! I don't know, seems to me if you can afford that much cocaine and that many weapons, including friggin' bazookas, you could probably afford professional assassins and not Los Locos. Then again, Los Locos do kick your ass, your face, and your balls into outer space. Back over to the hotel, Jet is sitting by a pool and naturally is wearing a swimsuit, which actually ends up covering her up more than her regular superhero outfit. They're meeting with Twirlinger, the CIA agent who had asked them to take out Snowflame's operation. We fulfilled our end of the bargain and shut down Snowflame's drug operation in Colombia, in exchange for your promise of no more government harassment. Actually, the deal was for the CIA to keep the file open about that white supremacist guy, Croef, and let the new Guardians have time to gather evidence against him. But why would you expect the creative team to remember stuff that happened in the last issue? Twirlinger is there to inform them that Snowflame's associates in Colombia have decided to get revenge on the team and have sent a member of their cartel to assassinate the heroes. However, as Ram shackles him up with some electrical arcs, our heroes reveal that they're not too happy with him. Even with my interface powers, it was no simple task to access your official file from the agency's mainframe computers. And seriously, your password is just the number 7? What little remains of your file, that is. Curious, isn't it, how you neglected to mention the US government officially deactivated your operative status several years ago. I mean, I'm not that surprised you were fired for those used car salesman outfits you wear, but still. Twirlinger says there's a perfectly logical reason why his file is like that, but they're not hearing it, tossing him out of the place and telling him to never come back. Back over to the clinic, my care partner has never let me forget that lifestyles don't cause diseases, germs do. I know in my heart of hearts I never would have lasted this long if it weren't for Richard's constant care and support. And Harbinger freaks out and runs off, yelling, I can't endure any more of this! Care and support? I can't take it! She transforms into her regular outfit and breaks through a window, although this panel of Extraño and Jet on the other side of it makes it look like he pushed her. Also, how did they get there so fast? The panel right before it has her running off with no one chasing her. Anyway, since the news is still covering the protests, they spot her flying out, along with Jet and Extraño flying after her. Why, viewers? Why are 3 new Guardians breaking out of the AIDS wing of the hospital? Stay tuned for further developments. But first, are millennials killing the plastic silverware industry? Harbinger flies off into a thunderstorm, for some reason. I wish I was still in deep space with the Monitor. Deep space? The Monitor satellite was in orbit over Earth. If only I had never come to Earth. This nightmare wouldn't be happening. If only there were an entire race of monitors. They'd know if I should be doing something about all this. The other 2 are unable to follow her, and Jet in particular starts feeling faint, possibly a side effect of the drugs, and so they descend to a nearby forest to try to rest. While Los Locos meet up with the tour guide that passes by the New Guardians Hotel, Harbinger falls asleep on a small mountain. And it's while she's asleep that we finally get a good look at Betty, the last member of the New Guardians. She's an Aboriginal woman who lives in the dream time. We've only really seen her once or twice in the previous issues, and one of those times being where she looked like some kind of bizarre sundoodle just floating in the air for no reason. But yeah, she doesn't really have a physical form. She's just a disembodied force. So with her being in the dream time and not having a physical form, that means that over half the team cannot actually procreate! What were they supposed to do to pass on their super evolution genes? Lick people or something? Harbinger confirms that Jet is the one who's been given a positive diagnosis for HIV. Well, she says AIDS diagnosis, but I'll forgive the confusion. And feels a bit ashamed that she's panicking like this since they don't even know if she has it too. But you've got to understand, before I came to Earth, my entire life was spent cruising galaxies aboard a satellite. And then antimatter consumed most other universes, and this reality was reset as a result of time travel and a battle with the Anti-Monitor. Weird how nobody seems to remember that happened. Anyway, she thinks this is more than she can handle, but Betty reassures her that, being one of the chosen, she can handle this. You possess the power within to deal with any and all challenges ahead as you fulfill your higher purpose. I am deeply emotionally distraught about the possibility of having a disease that will almost certainly kill me. Nah, you can handle it. Oh, okay then. But hey, it does seem to work, especially Betty reminding her of how the new Guardians are destined to lead mankind to total enlightenment. Let's see them working on that, shall we? Stir-frying vegetables is a meat-oriented perversion! In fact, Floro, one could say it's a new spore of madness. He says that vegetables and the like should be eaten raw, which, considering he's a plant, doesn't that amount to cannibalism? Anyway, the tour bus passes the motel again, but we see inside that the tour guide is being held at gunpoint. The tour guide tries to kinda signal the new Guardians that he needs help, but the gang sees right through it and toss him out, instead using the bus to storm through the plants surrounding the place and start firing their guns wildly. That gives us the advantage of surprise! Just look at the element of surprise we have! Nobody will hear us coming! Back with the other three Guardians, we get some character development as they make a pact that they'll be there for one another for comfort and support during these difficult times, regardless of what may happen. Afterwards, though, Betty contacts them again, once more appearing like some green squiggly-lined Zordon in the sky, to inform them of the attack on the others. Speaking of, the tour bus smashes through the gates, alerting our heroes of the attack. And as you can see, they're still firing around themselves. They attack like a commando squad. We're a highly trained commando squad! Ah! I mean, I suppose it's like a commando squad. Specifically the squad in Predator that shoots wildly into the jungle and basically levels half of it in the process. Whoever those hellions are, they shall rue the day they invaded our home. Must you be so flowery with your prose gloss? Floro, a single line of dialogue from you became a recurring gag on this show because of how flowery and over the top it was. Shut up. The three use their powers to fight back, Ram attacking with brute strength, being bulletproof, Gloss summoning up the water from the pool to snuff out flames, and Floro using vines and a giant cactus to incapacitate some of them. However, he's shocked when he looks at the gang members. Saplings! They are only saplings! My God! I've got to water them and feed them or they'll never grow! Somebody get me some uncooked vegetables! Their pores reek of erythroxylum coca, when they could be reeking of marijuana! Kids today, I swear. The group is of course horrified that a bunch of kids are so high on cocaine and so aggressive, although I'm more wondering why the cocaine seems to have broken this kid's hand and wrist. That does not look healthy. Their leader, though, crawls over to the bazooka and decides to finish the job they were hired for, launching it and utterly destroying the hotel in one shot. Damn you! So maybe a Hollywood bungalow wasn't exactly my idea of paradise. It was still our home! Damn you, meat! Damn you and your lemonade! Especially the lemonade. Wasting perfectly good lemons like that! Later, as the police and ambulances haul off the gang, our other three heroes return to the wreckage of the hotel. By Sirius! By the satellite radio! Naturally, they're all saddened by this as the team fully reunites, but then some reporters walk up. Kathy Hart, AM Hollywood. Now that the new Guardians are homeless, any idea on where you superheroes will be spending the night? I mean, we've got to tell the tour buses where to redirect their routes to. Ram disables their cameras and merely says they're gonna go away from the prying eyes of the press. As they fly off and try to figure out where to go, we cut back to Tom Kalmaku as he sees what happened to their home. Tom tells his wife that especially in light of all the hardship the group has had to endure, he realizes how fortunate he is that he's with his wife and family. However, we see that someone is outside of their home watching with a camera. And so our comic ends revealing that it's Croaf who's spying on him, and was also observing the Guardians. However, in light of the destruction of their home, he's ceasing the surveillance on them and focusing on Tom's family, in particular realizing that Tom's wife and her unborn child will soon be joining him. Yes, abducting a pregnant housewife. That's a good thing to add to my list of ways showing that I am a villain. I guess being a horrible racist wasn't enough. This comic, compared to the previous 2 issues, is okay. The previous 2 issues had an AIDS-giving vampire and the glory that is Snowflame. This comic just has character stuff and melodrama while advancing some subplots a bit. It's not exactly great material here, and the artwork, especially on the gang of kids, is pretty pedestrian at best, but it's inoffensive and normal for a comic of the time. There's still plenty of dumb dialogue, but not nearly as insane as what we've seen before. I don't know if that's a sign that the book is getting better, or just that it's taking a break from its wackiness. It's probably for the best, since it's trying to deal with the very serious topic of contracting HIV. Despite the pact between the 3 heroes, it comes across like this will not be something they can just forget about in the issues to come. And that's a good thing. If you're gonna go through the trouble of introducing this plot point, you should follow through on it. That being said, good job on eliminating your character's base of operations in only 3 issues! Maybe it was meant to show that the status quo could be broken up very easily, but it just seems like a waste of time establishing the place if they were just gonna get rid of it. Next time, it's another long-awaited return to US 1. Hopefully, that'll yield some more of the goofiness we've come to expect.
Sitting on my couch reviewing comics, the worst words that you will ever see. It's sad that comic books are for kids, but they're not. They're for everybody. Linkara. If you doubt that I am a man, I am a man.
Man, can you believe we had an entire New Guardians review and yet no appearance by Snowflame?
Snowflame is trapped in this picture!
You are? But when the hell did that happen?
Snowflame has an exciting life that nobody ever talks about!
Huh. Weird.
Snowflame also took your cell phone in here with him.
Hey!
Imager is Snowflame's only friend.
Oh, Chief, you're back. So soon?
If this first round is anything to go by, this year's contest will be a breeze.
Did they put up any sort of fight at all?
You'd think so when they're claiming to be a samurai. But no challenge at all. A few well-placed flashbangs, a knife at his throat, and the contest was mine. Were there any other eliminations while I was gone?
The Blue Knight of Titan, I believe they were called. They defeated their opponent.
Not surprising. That one's going to be trouble if I have to go up against him. His armor is very advanced.
Well, maybe you'll get lucky and you can pick the contest for that.
Luck! Luck is for gamblers and little children opening trading card packs. We don't rely on fortune. We don't play the odds. We do everything we can to make sure we win. Do you understand me, Wilford?
Yes, Chief. Sorry, Chief.
The round is ending soon, Wilford. There are only a handful of those remaining that I feel we can't deal with normally, but I refuse to face defeat again. Victory is so close this time, I can taste it.
Who do we have to be concerned about?
The Blue Knight of Titan, for starters. Destra Galga, of course, I don't think we'll have anything that would even slow it down. Pylo, though I do have the beginning of a plan should it be our next enemy. But this one... I've got a feeling about this one. This one took on Lord Vice, and won. Even I was never stupid enough to do that.
According to the news, Jarrus is coaching him.
Yes. Gather the men. Time to run a few drills.
Yes, Chief.
Enjoy the tournament while you can, my friends. This time, The bandit chief will not leave without his prize.